Hey guys, I'm back reviewing the games that I played over the last couple years. We're getting to the really good games now. We're almost in the top 10, but we're not quite there yet. These games weren't perfect. They're not top 10 quality, but they're right on the cusp. They're pretty close. All right, let's get right back into it, starting at number 30.
Endara Gaming, where we beat the games.
A brand new world of new friends and adventure. It's Banjo-Kazooie for your Nintendo 64. Sweet little Toodles was captured by nasty witch Gruntilda. Now Banjo and his pal Kazooie are searching to find her. Travel with them through 9 fun-filled worlds chock full of surprises. Collect all the notes, tokens, and puzzle pieces you can stuff into Banjo's backpack.
Number 30, Banjo-Kazooie, released in 1998 for the Nintendo 64. In a region called Spiral Mountain, Banjo's sister, Tooty, is kidnapped by Gruntilda the Witch, who wants to steal Tooty's beauty for herself. So the bear Banjo and the bird Kazooie must set out on an adventure to save her. The goal is to progress through Gruntilda's lair and the various worlds within it, collect items, such as golden jigsaw pieces and music notes that allow Banjo and Kazooie to progress through their quest, and eventually defeat Gruntilda. 3D platformers are my least favorite genre, but the controls in this game felt great, and it was always an enjoyable experience to play through a level and finally figure out how to beat it. I found this title very challenging, but it was in a fun way. I found this title far superior to Banjo-Tooie because of the difficulty and because of the high you get when completing a difficult section of the game. Something that I'll never forget after playing through this game was the incredibly difficult and memorable final boss battle, where you finally face off against the witch Gruntilda, and she has multiple different phases that you have to figure out how to overcome in order to beat her and beat the game.
The continent was ravaged by the devastating war between the Empire and the Alliance. However, one nation remained unaffected by the chaos: the Kingdom of Alatain.
We are to eradicate every last Imperial who comes ashore. We should send our best and crush them. Our lines, but we will stand firm to the bitter end.
Number 29, The DioField Chronicle, released for the Xbox Series X in 2022. The DioField Chronicle plays like a strategy role-playing video game. It is not tile or grid-based in your movement like Final Fantasy Tactics and games like that, but instead, this title allows for a more free directional movement like XCOM. DioField Chronicle features real-time strategy elements. The player controls a party of characters that engage in tactical battles, completing missions such as vanquishing enemies, defending a stronghold, escorting an ally, or capturing points on a map. Similar to Fire Emblem, the viewpoint shifts as the battles themselves play out. Through the way I describe that, it might sound as though the battles are very varied, but I would say that most missions feel more or less the same. That being said, the gameplay is very tight and very enjoyable. The DioField Chronicle takes place on a fictional war-torn continent, where the Kingdom of Alatain sits in close vicinity of a conflict between the Trollvetskovian Empire and the Rotail Alliance. Strategy RPGs are my favorite subgenre of video game, and this did not disappoint. This title was actually real-time, which made for some unique gameplay. I enjoyed the character progression and the story of this title, even if the dialogue took itself a bit too seriously at times.
Our hapless allies as bait while we sneak up to stab the enemy in the back. Genius.
I liked how, in this game, There wasn't really black and white, good and evil. Most things, when it comes to morality, were handled with shades of gray. I think that's more in line with how the real world works, where there isn't just a clear good and evil. From each person's perspective and each side's perspective, there is merit to what they're doing. One of the things I really liked about the story in this game is how Walter Quinn Redditch and Iskarian Colchester, two of the playable characters, are complete opposites. And it became really obvious early on in the game that the tension that was building up between the two was going to eventually come to a head, as Walter Quinn is more of an evil type character who shows no mercy to her enemies and practices dark forbidden magics.
Oh, it's too much. Too much. I simply can't resist any longer. This hex is too delicious. Why are you pulling that scary face?
Enough of the little girl act. You summoned the dead right in front of us.
Ah, you noticed then.
While Iskarian wants people to be happy and free, and is a more of a good type character.
Fred, please listen. Looting and violence are not inevitable byproducts of democratic activism. Look, I spoke with their representative. They seem amenable to negotiate. So long as we temporarily withdraw.
That's not gonna happen.
As I mentioned before, this title felt a little bit repetitive at times, as most battles felt very similar. And simultaneously, this game also felt too short. I would expect a game like this to be quite a bit longer than it actually was. But regardless of my gripes, with the charm, the depth, and the character progression that were present in this game, the Diofield Chronicle is a tactical RPG worth checking out.
Damn. Whoa. Got her. GG's.
I wish I could see the look on your face.
日本映画の面白男伊丹十三があのスイートホームのファミコン化に成功したぞ。呪われた屋敷に閉じ込められてしまった5人のテレビ取材班。この5人を操作して1人でも多く脱出させるのが君の使命だ。さあ逃げろ。ぐずぐずしていると屋敷に殺されてしまうぞ。
Number 28, Sweet Home, released in 1989 for the Famicom. Sweet Home is a survival horror role-playing video game, developed and published by Capcom. It is based on the Japanese horror film of the same name. And tells the story of a team of 5 filmmakers exploring an old mansion in search of precious frescoes, or paintings, hidden there. As they explore the mysterious mansion, they encounter hostile ghosts and other supernatural enemies. The player must navigate the intricately laid out mansion, battling opponents with the 5 main characters and the limited weapon and health items available. This game features permadeath, and the narrative moves forward regardless of whether all characters stay alive, which can lead to up to 5 different endings. Sweet Home places an emphasis on puzzle solving, item inventory management similar to Resident Evil, and survival. The player must backtrack to previous locations in order to solve puzzles using items acquired later in the game. Wow, if this game was released in the United States and I got a chance to play it as a kid, this probably would have been one of my all-time favorite games ever. It's a Resident Evil-like horror RPG with permadeath, as I mentioned before. It has really cool puzzles and a very rewarding progression system for your characters. It has spooky as hell environments, and even playing through this in 2022, it was a marvel in game design and fun. There were some minor issues with it, like some of the cryptic solutions of certain puzzles and situations, and there were some unbalanced sections. But overall, I found this game to be fantastic, and I would recommend it to any fan of horror games or RPGs. That was week 1. Life has been long over. Transform starting, I think. Oh, there she is, Lady Mamaya transformed. I want to use a dress soon, maybe. You're safe. Lady Momaya said you were here. She is at peace now, and the state is serene once more. Follow me.
A savior is needed.
Who are you?
The man who'll kill Dracula.
Number 27, Castlevania, released in 1987 for the NES. Castlevania is a 2D action game with horror elements and is the first game in Konami's Castlevania video game franchise. Players control Simon Belmont, descendant of a legendary vampire hunter, who enters the castle of Count Dracula to destroy him when he suddenly reappears 100 years after Simon's ancestor vanquished him. This is a game that I've played a bit off and on since I was a small child. I was never able to get past the Grim Reaper boss, but I finally beat him and the whole game in 2022. Oh my god! Oh! Oh, we did it! The jumping controls aren't exactly great, but this is another one of those NES hard games where the challenge itself makes the game fun. I had a blast playing through this title, and in my opinion, Castlevania is a must-play game for any fan of video games. One more hit. I just took a hit though. Alright, we did it. Oh no. I'm the goat! The goat! Yes, I did it!
You find what you're looking for.
Yeah. And now we need to kill it.
I need you to think about what you saw in that vision. Every detail.
Multiple security breaches. Old Afira ruins.
External camera 16. External camera 15. Camera 10. Oh, damn it!
They're here.
You remember me? Now's the fun part, bitch!
Number 26, Gears 5, released in 2019 for the Xbox One. Gears 5 is a third-person shooter video game developed by the Coalition and published by Xbox Game Studios. Gears 5 follows the story of Kate Diaz, who is on a journey to find out the origin of the Locust Horde, the main antagonist faction of the Gears of War series. Kate Diaz was also one of the main protagonists in Gears of War 4, but she plays a much larger role in this game. What a shame that this title turned out to be. The first two acts in Gears 5 had me saying that this was the best Gears game, and one of the best games I've ever played ever. Act 2 especially was incredible, as it was a pseudo open world act with optional side quests, a better, more epic story with good character development, better dialogue than the previous games, pseudo RPG elements, specifically being able to upgrade your robot Jack, and collectibles that were actually rewarding and interesting to find. Act 3 wasn't quite as good as 2, but it was still serviceable. But Act 4, man did Act 4 suck. It felt rushed and incomplete in my opinion. That epic feeling that I had going through Act 2 was completely drained, and it vanished as the story itself finished with many unanswered questions and an unsatisfying ending sequence.
Don't be over. Ah, what a weak finish. Man.
When the game ended, it had me reacting, saying basically, is that it? Is there more? This is the end of the game? But despite my complaints, Gears 5 is still a great game. when I say the game was a letdown, I just meant that it was going in a direction of being one of the greatest games of all time that I've ever played. And when everything was said and done, at the very end, it wasn't quite at that level. As you can see on this list, it's not even in my top 20. But it's damn good. Play it.
Wait, what? Oh, Jack's sacrificing himself. Ooh. Well, that got it done.
She'll be back.
I know.
And also, if this is the ending, then Gears 5 ended really weak.
But not if we find her first.
Humanity faces extinction unless we end this war now.
Number 25, Gears of War 2, released in 2008 for the Xbox 360. Gears of War 2 is a third-person shooter video game, developed by Epic Games and published by Microsoft Game Studios. In Gears of War 2, the COG continues its fight against the Locust, who are attempting to sink all the cities on the planet Sarah. Sergeant Marcus Phoenix leads Delta Squad into the depths of the planet to try to stop the Locust. The player controls Phoenix in the main mission campaign, with the ability to play cooperatively with the second player, controlling Phoenix's best friend and fellow squad member, Dominic Dom Santiago.
Maria.
Dom.
The Gears series isn't perfect, but out of the Gears games that I've played this year, Gears of War 2 is king. The story is epic, and there are multiple brutal moments.
Ty, is that you?
Marcus, we got more locusts on the way!
Ty, let's go! Cole, Baird, cover that door! Carmine, Dom, guard the rear! Ty! No!
Some of the sequences are really unique and interesting to play through as well. The meat of the gameplay in Gears of War 2 is as good as this series gets.
Whoa! That crazy thing is playing chicken with him! Give it a rocket and
I got it good there.
Harriet! Velkes Besentes!
Hostis? Liquor?
Yikes. Number 24, Panzer Dragoon Saga, released for the Sega Saturn in 1998. Panzer Dragoon Saga, known in Japan as Azel Panzer Dragoon RPG, is a role-playing video game developed by Team Andromeda. The third in the Panzer Dragoon series, it replaced the game's real shooter gameplay with RPG elements, such as random encounters, semi-turn-based battles, and free-roaming exploration. The player controls Edge, a young mercenary who rides a dragon and encounters a mysterious girl from a vanished civilization. Panzer Dragoon Saga is the most acclaimed Saturn game, and is often listed among the greatest games of all time, earning praise for its story, graphics, and combat. Well, I finally played the legendary and rare Sega Saturn RPG Panzer Dragoon Saga. This game is mind-blowingly expensive, and owning a real copy isn't something that I will probably ever do. But I did manage to play it through other means. This was supposed to be Sega's Final Fantasy VII killer. They put a lot of effort and resources into developing this game late in the Sega Saturn's life cycle. Saga was supposed to directly compete with Final Fantasy VII. Did this title match all of the hype? In my opinion, no, but it was still a good game though. The combat system was engaging, unique, and fun. The need to change positioning during fights made this title really stand out, and made the combat unusual and engaging, especially for an RPG game.
220, damn.
The cutscenes in 2022 look like absolute garbage, but this was kind of the norm for games of that era. Even a lot of the really popular games with cutscenes that were widely praised from back then, they don't look good now. I was a little disappointed with the length of this game, as it was pretty short, especially for having 3 separate discs. The underground dungeons later in the game were tough to navigate, with the backgrounds looking really similar to each other throughout each dungeon. Some of the cinematic abilities that you obtained during the late game were really cool though, and I enjoyed leveling up the different dragon forms.
Oh. This thing has a lot of health. It ate 48 damage and it's still fine. Let's try out... Oh no, he's using Berserker Rage on me! I probably need to heal.
So is Panzer Dragoon Saga worth playing today? Yes, it is. It definitely is. It's a really good game. Just don't go in expecting it to be Final Fantasy VII or its equivalent. It's not on that level, but it is really fun. And be prepared for some ugly looking FMVs. But if you take those things into consideration, you're going to have a good time with this one. Onslaught.
Oof! Damn! 1830.
Number 23, Alien vs. Predator, released in 1994 for the arcades. So this is another game that I played on the Pandora arcade. Alien vs. Predator is a beat-em-up video game developed and released by Capcom for the CPS2 arcade game system. It's based on the science fiction franchise of the same name. Introducing an original fighter to the game, Lieutenant Kurosawa. The players take control of up to 4 different characters, including 2 separate Predator characters, and battle against the alien hordes and rogue human soldiers. I am very nostalgic for this game, and I played it for many hours in the arcades when I was a kid. I remember begging my parents for a Sega Genesis port of this game that doesn't actually exist. It wasn't something that actually was out there, although there was a port on the Super Nintendo that I've never played. I've seen some gameplay of that game, and it doesn't look like it's all that great anyway. Playing through it on the Pandora was not as fun as I remembered with the infinite credits that you get, but I still had a blast playing through this title and beating it for the first time ever. Guardian Gar, 299. Recorded on these stone tablets are the names of us Guardians, otherwise known as Dragon Slayers. Those are all dragon skulls. The number below my name is the number of dragons I killed in the war. Okay. So he killed 299 dragons. Alright. So I guess I'm going to be number 300, kind of, I guess? Ryu. Let me tell you what happened to your people. What happened to the Brood. Nearly 400 years ago, the savage and malevolent Brood attempted to conquer the world, igniting a fierce war. I do like how in the Breath of Fire games, though, the lineage of Ryu is always really important to the story. After a mighty struggle, the last of the Brood were defeated, and their bones laid here. Ryu, you are the last of the Brood. Once you are dealt with, my purpose shall be complete. Prepare yourself, Ryu. Number 22, Breath of Fire 3, released in 1997 for the PS1. Breath of Fire 3 is a role-playing video game, developed and published by Capcom. It is the first game in the franchise to feature three-dimensional graphics and voice acting. Damn! The story takes place in a fantasy world where humans live alongside anthropomorphic creatures and centers the story on Ryu, the last of the Brood, which are a rare race of people who can transform into powerful dragons. So we play special magic wards around this room. Oh, maybe I can't transform. In other words, here you will be unable to use your Brood powers. Oh. I will use the true power of the Brood. But you, Ryu, you must depend only on yourself to defeat me. I mean, Ryu's still strong, but his dragon forms are oh god. That's not good. As he searches the world to uncover the mystery of his people and reunite with his family. Breath of Fire 3 introduces a number of new features to the series, including the Master System, which allows any of the game's playable characters to apprentice under specific NPCs known as Masters, which allows them to learn new skills and influence their statistics as they level up. An additional feature, the Fairy Village, gives the player the ability to influence the growth of a small town of fairies, which in turn gives them access to special items and in-game features such as minigames and a sound test. Green are going to clearing and red are going to hunting. So let's see. He's even on both. He'll go hunting. I didn't mess around too much with the Fairy Village, or the fishing minigame that's present in this title. But I did spend some time training my characters under various masters. Unlike Breath of Fire 1 and 2, where you gallivant around the world on an epic adventure, this title felt a lot smaller in scope, at least until the final battle when things do pick up quite a bit, and your actions seem more substantial than they at first appeared. I found that the setting in this game was very whimsical, and it featured fun characters and an interesting story. I found the combat to be surprisingly deep, especially for a traditional RPG like this. I really enjoyed battling against the early game foils, Balio and Sunder. They were really cool enemies that brought a lot of personality to this game. Wait, I said. Whew. Okay, bro, let's go, You're not my brother. Who are you? Wait, you're supposed to be dead. Ghost, help me! Oh no, I can't fight both of them? Ghost, what are you talking about? Help me, bro, come quick. Look, he's dead. I mean... He's alive, it's a zombie! This is a surprise, is he really alive? I'm scared, he's a vampire! No, he's dead, you dummy. You just stabbed me in the back? Oh, I'm not afraid of a dead zombie. Would I recommend Breath of Fire 3 in 2022? Yes, I would recommend it. It's a good game. There were quite a few people in the chat that were discussing the finer points of this title while I was playing through it, and I had a lot of fun playing this game. It's not one of the best RPGs ever, but it is definitely worth your time if you are an RPG fan. You understand, Ryu? Who's that? I suppose I should have known you... Oh, it's Tipo. Come here eventually. You are Brood after all. Who? Tipo? Is it really you, Tipo? It's me, Ray. Oh, it's cool that Ray's here. I'm glad. Tipo, you're alive. I thought... Be silent. Oh, why is he being a jerk? I must talk with Ryu. As you know, this side of the world is almost entirely buried by sand, making it almost impossible for anything to survive. Life has been driven nearly to extinction. I have to preserve what little is left. I had to save the rest of the world from the danger called the Brood. So what you're saying is, we should just sit back and let you take care of us. Like we were your babies or something, right? Exactly, right? Alright. If I did not hold it back, using the outer sea as a shield, the desert would slowly, inevitably, spread across the entire world. So she's saving us all, really. If I did not continue to create the machines that are repaired and used worldwide, civilization as we know it would surely perish. Ominous light, someone once said. Oh no. Alright. Too many mutant Choriots are born. The mutant Choriots are harmless, but... Destroy the mutants. It is the village's code. I don't remember this at all. The mutant Choriots cannot be tamed, and no one will buy them. Besides, they are believed to be a bad omen. I didn't mean to break the code, only I couldn't kill him. Because Logi had a pair of wings. Number 21. Panzer Dragoon 2, Sve, released in 1996 for the Sega Saturn. Panzer Dragoon 2 is a rail shooter developed by Team Andromeda and published by Sega. The story follows Lundy and his dragon companion Logi, chasing a ship of the ancient age. The gameplay features the player moving an aiming reticle and shooting enemies while the dragon travels through 3D environments on a fixed track, with levels having alternate pathways that can influence the gameplay to some extent. I found this to be an awesome on-rail shooter that I played a lot as a kid. I had the Sega Saturn and I had this game when I was a child. I have a lot of nostalgia for this title. The cutscenes look surprisingly good. Darn it, I'll make it something. Wow, destroyed his village. What's that? That's no, my village. And I found the world and the story to be pretty interesting as well. It's a little too bad that this game didn't feature enough content, really, to develop the world and environment more, as the game is a little short. Oh. Might be it. Looking good for me. Oh, the whole creature's gone. Well, I guess I win. Oh, guess not. It's back. Good. That's cool. Oh, how did that hit me? Oh, that worked out. I remember this. Number 20, Panzer Dragoon, released in 1995 for the Sega Saturn. The first Panzer Dragoon game follows the story of Kale Fluge, a member of a hunter party who encounters a fight between two dragons, colored black and blue. The rider of the blue dragon is mortally wounded in the battle and entrusts his mission, as well as his dragon, the Solo Wing, to Kale. Oh, well, that's not good for that guy. Kale must stop the Dark Dragon from reactivating an Agent Ruin. I found that this on-rails 3D shooter had great music and was very challenging. This title just barely beat out Panzer Dragoon 2 on my list, as both games are really good and kind of similar in quality. I picked the first title as the better game, even though the second title was a bit more polished. I just really liked the challenge and music in the first game, which is why I decided to give it a slight edge. Let's see this. I'm just watching this like menu screen here. This is really nothing to it. And just like in the second game, this title has some really cool cutscenes that I still remembered from my childhood. I still remember them to this day watching through them. I was like, oh yeah, I remember that scene. I remember that scene. Oh, that was really cool. I think that was the thing he was chasing, and it's dead. Oh, shit. Number 19, Mega Man 2, released in 1989 for the NES. After his initial defeat, Dr. Wily creates his own set of robot masters in an attempt to counter Mega Man. These include Metal Man, Airman, Bubble Man, Quick Man, Crash Man, Flash Man, Heat Man, and Wood Man. He also constructed a new fortress and an army of robotic henchmen. Mega Man is then sent by his creator, Dr. Light, to defeat Dr. Wily and his robot masters. Mega Man 2 is a platform and action game, much like its predecessor, Mega Man. Each robot master features a unique weapon and a stage related to their weapon's power. After defeating one of the masters, their signature weapon becomes available to Mega Man. The individual robot masters have weaknesses to the weapons of certain other robot masters, meaning that if you can figure out which boss is weak to which weapon, you can progress through this game much easier. Many consider Mega Man 2 to be a classic, and I agree. I had a great time with this title, and there were quite a few people watching and chatting in the stream when I played through it. One critique that I have for this game, however, is how unbalanced the weapons were. Some of the weapons were damn near useless, while Metal Man's weapon was incredibly overpowered, and I used it for the majority of the game after I obtained it.
Alright, we got this. Alright, one down.
Number 18, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 4, Turtles in Time, released in 1992 for the Super Nintendo. When the game starts up, you see that the Turtles were watching a TV newscast on a Sunday evening, with April O'Neil reporting from Liberty Island. Suddenly, Krang flies in using a giant exosuit and steals the Statue of Liberty. Moments before Shredder hijacks the airwaves to laugh at the Turtles. The Turtles jump into action in downtown New York and pursue the Foot Clan to the streets and the city sewers. The Turtles must fight the Shredder's army in both the past and the future in order to get home. I found Turtles in Time to be a very enjoyable beat-em-up game with cool bosses, interesting levels, and some nice special effects, such as throwing Foot Clan ninjas at the screen. People talk very fondly of this game, but I had never played it as a kid. Did it live up to the hype? I'd say yes and no. It is without a doubt a very good beat-em-up game. I played through this on stream with my friend Brian, and we had a good time playing it. I definitely think that this game is worth playing in 2022, but I don't know if it has that much more to offer than games like Streets of Rage 2 and other similar beat-em-up games.
I vaguely remember this. So cool.
Number 17, Nights into Dreams, released in 1996 for the Sega Saturn. Nights into Dreams is an action game developed by Sonic Team. The story follows the teenagers, Elliot Edwards and Clara Sinclair, who enter Nightopia, a dream world where all dreams take place. They begin a journey to stop the evil ruler, Wiseman, from destroying Nightopia and consequently the real world as well. Players control knights flying through Elliot and Claris's dreams to gather enough energy to defeat Wiseman and save Nightopia. The game is presented in 3D and imposes time limits on every level, in which the player must accumulate points to proceed. I had lots of nostalgia for this game. When I think Sega Saturn, Nights into Dreams is a game that always comes to mind. The gameplay is fun, and the title is mostly pretty easy and relaxing to play through, but there are some difficult parts. I found this game to be way too short, and I remember as a kid, I thought that I was missing something and that I wasn't playing through the full game. But unfortunately, I was mistaken, it's just very short. But despite its length, Nights into Dreams is a great game and it's really fun to play, even in 2022. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. I'd say this ending is a lot more satisfying than the Guardian Heroes ending that we just watched, the multiple endings. They're all kind of like not very satisfying. Go get your girl, Elliot. Go get your girl.
True strength flows from the heart. Then let's finish this, Matsu!
Number 16, Live Alive, released in 2022 for the Nintendo Switch. Live Alive is a 1994 role-playing video game in which the player takes on the role of 8 different protagonists through 9 scenarios. While each narrative has the same basic mechanics, individual stories have unique gimmicks. The turn-based battle system is used across all scenarios, and features the player character, or sometimes a whole party, fighting against enemies on a grid, with characters able to move and perform actions such as attacking or using special skills. The 2022 remake, which is what we played, carries over the basic gameplay from the original, though it is redesigned and updated with a new graphical style and with some features that were added for quality of life improvements to make the game a little more palatable to new audiences. Everything in the story comes together in a satisfying way at the end of this game, and I really enjoyed this title overall. I even made a video ranking each of the chapters from worst to best. I did find that some of the chapters were a bit weaker than others in Live Alive, and the game did feel a bit inconsistent. Some parts felt clearly rushed, while other parts felt like a slog. I still had a great time with this title, and I recommend it.
A desperate bluff. But he does not know your potential.
Heavenly Peak's descent!
It's time, Mad Dog.
Are you finished?
I have you.
Do not underestimate me.
You glory in nothing.
I will end you!
That thing's no god of mine. And I'm not melding with these freaks or anyone else.
This is insane!
Get your hands off me!
There is no one else, little one. Know this, my friend.
The darkness comes for all!
Out of here or be carried out. But have no illusions, we are in charge.
Think, damn it, think.
got a fire alarm. I thought I told all of you I want radio silence. Sorry, I didn't get that message. Mayday, terrorists have seized the Nakatomi Plaza.
This channel is reserved for emergency calls only.
Do I sound like I'm ordering a pizza?
Possible crank call. Check the area and confirm.
No signs of disturbance, dispatch. Welcome to the party, pal!
Do you really think you have a chance against us, Mr. Cowboy?
Yippee-ki-yay.
You hang in there.
Number 15, Die Hard Arcade, released in 1997 for the Sega Saturn. Die Hard Arcade, known as Dynamite Deca in Japan, is an arcade beat-em-up video game released by Sega. It was the first beat-em-up to use texture-mapped 3D polygon graphics. It also features QuickTime events.
I will start dying a lot. Now here we go. Kick. Boom! So if you mess up...
And in two-player mode, the ability to perform combined special moves and combos. Die Hard Arcade was published in cooperation with Fox Interactive and was a licensed product based on the Die Hard movie franchise. Because Sega did not hold the Japanese video game rights for Die Hard, in Japan the game was stripped of the Die Hard license and published as an original property. I have lots of nostalgia for this title, as I used to play the arcade version a lot at a local mall. I didn't play the Sega Saturn version until I was an adult, and it was more recently, but I find that the Sega Saturn version is an almost perfect port of the game. The gameplay is very fun, and this game boasts some really cool weapons. One of the features that I enjoy about the game is that as you progress, your protagonist's clothes get more and more ragged and torn up looking, similar to John McClane's clothes in the first Die Hard movie.
Shoot the glass. Put down the gun.
The QuickTime events look nice and don't bog down the game as well. Ugh.
Well, we can do this. Oh my god, kick me across the room. Oh my god. His life is low. I feel like this isn't it. Well, I mean, beat him. Oh, here he goes. Not over.
Me, Wario. I am your master. Mario is your enemy.
The wicked imposter Wario has cast an evil spell over Mario Land.
Don't let Mario get the 6 golden coins. Don't let Mario reach the palace.
This is the biggest, most dangerous, most challenging Game Boy adventure yet.
Obey Wario. Destroy Mario.
Don't fall under Wario's evil spell in Super Mario Land 2, only on Game Boy.
Number 14, Super Mario Land 2, 6 Golden Coins, released in 1992 for the Game Boy. Super Mario Land 2 is a platform video game developed and published by Nintendo. It is the sequel to Super Mario Land. In Super Mario Land 2, the player assumes the role of the protagonist Mario, whose main objective is to reclaim his personal island, Mario Land, from the clutches of his greedy rival Wario. Super Mario Land 2 takes place immediately following the events of Super Mario Land. While Mario was away in Sarasa Land, a jealous childhood acquaintance named Wario put an evil spell over Mario's private island, Mario Land, brainwashing its inhabitants into believing Wario is their master and Mario is their enemy. Next to none of that story is actually conveyed during gameplay, and I don't believe they mentioned in any of the other Mario games that Mario owns an island. But I guess that's the case here. I found this title to be much, much better than Super Mario Land, the first game. Mario Land 2 boasts some really fun boss fights and an actual overworld map where you can play through the game in any order that you like for the most part. I beat this title twice in the last 2 years, which I think demonstrates how much I enjoyed it.
Alright, one more. I bet you Fire Flower Wario was the end. Alright. We're doing good. Fire Flower. Fuck. I took a hit there too. I think I took 2 hits. No, I didn't. I took 1. Alright, we're both at 1 hit. Did we win? Did we beat him? Did we beat the game? He's turning into a baby. I think we did it. I think we did it. 1 try. He just throw his hat at me and laugh and run. 1 try. It took me multiple tries. I remember the last time I beat this game. Wow. We did it. 1 try, man. Let's flip that W upside down, kid. Flip it, flip it, flip it. GG's. We got
Since college, me and my brother Devon have had a real problem showing mercy. Back then, we showed no mercy in the classroom. And now, the Dudley boys show no mercy in the ring. So when THQ asked us to be the No Mercy spokesman, we naturally agreed.
Wage war in all new backstage areas, perform vicious double team moves, and show no mercy in the high-flying ladder match. WWF No Mercy for Nintendo 64. It doesn't get any better than this.
Number 13. WWF No Mercy, released in the year 2000 for the Nintendo 64. No Mercy is a professional wrestling video game released by THQ. It is based on the World Wrestling Federation and is named after the company's annual event of the same name. No Mercy is the last in a series of Nintendo 64 wrestling games, which started with WCW vs. NWO World Tour. No Mercy features various improvements over its predecessor, 1999's WWF WrestleMania 2000, such as improved graphics, which I can't really tell the difference really, but a championship mode that allows players to participate in various storylines and a more in-depth character creation mode. In the years since its release, No Mercy has been regarded as one of the best wrestling video games ever made, as well as one of the standout titles for the Nintendo 64. Much unlike the SmackDown series, the wrestling games in this series relied heavily on grappling before performing most techniques. I spent much more time as a child with WrestleMania 2000, but my cart wasn't working properly when I tried to stream a wrestling game, so I went with No Mercy instead. This title did not disappoint. The gameplay was surprisingly deep, despite seeming a bit slow. The moves felt really impactful, and this title has a lot of polish. While I played through this game, there were a few viewers participating in chat and throwing out some wrestling facts, which made this all the more enjoyable to play through.
Chance here. He didn't counter it. I'm getting the Twist of Fate off. I'm gonna Swanton. Oh no, yeah, this is Jeff. I'm Swantoning. Here it comes. Yeah! I could win. I did it! It took a long time, but I did it! A Twist of Fate and a Swanton on Triple H.
Do I need to remind you what is out there?
Once upon a time, I had somebody that I cared about. And in this world, that sort of shit's good for one thing. Getting you killed.
I need something smuggled out of the city.
It's just cargo, Joel.
I just want some simple gear enough to set me on my way.
I reckon it's got something to do with that girl.
It's got everything to do with that little girl.
It can't be any worse than in here. Can it?
We're shitty people, Joel. It's been that way for a long time.
No, we are survivors.
This is our chance.
It is over, Tess!
What are you so afraid of?
You're treading on some mighty thin ice here.
What do we do?
You make every shot count.
You see, I believe everything happens for a reason.
We don't have to do this. You know that, right?
After all we've been through. Everything that I've done. It can't be for nothing.
Number 12, The Last of Us, released in 2013 for the PS3. The Last of Us is an action-adventure game developed by Naughty Dog and published by Sony Computer Entertainment. Players control Joel, a smuggler tasked with escorting a teenage girl, Ellie, across a post-apocalyptic United States.
Stop! Stop!
Fucking touch me!
It's okay. It's me. It's me. It's me. Look. It's me.
He tried to...
The Last of Us is played from a third-person perspective. Players use firearms and improvised weapons, and can use stealth to defend against hostile humans and cannibalistic creatures infected by a mutated fungus, which basically act like zombies. I beat this title shortly after release, and this is my first time going back to it. I did not complete this playthrough, so I might revisit this title again in the next year, but I still found this to be a very, very good game. The gameplay and story are top-notch, and the world building and tension built up while traveling through the various areas is very memorable.
Come on.
I got you.
Damn it, Bill.
What just happened?
Another one of Bill's stupid traps.
Joel!
Shit, here they come. Just into the rope!
I remember first playing through this game thinking that this is one of the best games I've ever played. The characters were deep and interesting, the story was good, the setting was good, the combat was good, the exploration was really fun and enjoyable. Going back to it, it is still a really fun game. Maybe not quite as excellent as my first impression was playing it around 2013, but still, in 2022, I was very impressed with what this game had to offer, and I would heavily recommend this title. The combat is just very similar to the Uncharted series, so for anyone that enjoys those games, you'll feel right at home taking out these fungus-infected enemies and the human enemies that are present in this game. I haven't tried the sequel to this title, nor have I tried the remake of this game, but I do intend to do that at some point in the future. Regardless of how many remakes and remasters and sequels and things like that developers come out with in the coming years, if you're looking for a fun survival horror title to play through, you can't go wrong with the original PlayStation 3 version of The Last of Us.
Go! Get to the highway! Go! You got Sarah!
It's okay, baby. We're safe. We're safe. Hey, we need help.
Stop!
Please. It's my daughter. I think her leg is broken.
Stop right there!
We're not sick.
Got a couple of civilians in the outer perimeter. Please advise.
Daddy, what about Uncle Tommy?
We're gonna get you to safety and go back for him, okay?
Sir, there's a little girl. But... Yes, sir.
Somebody, we've just been through hell. Okay, we just need... Oh, shit. Please don't.
Mario is back. He's blasting the world's where no one has ever been. He's taking on enemies no one else dares. This time Mario pops up power wherever he goes, so he's bigger and badder than ever before. You've never seen creatures like these. You've never had an adventure like this. It's everything you've dreamed of and worlds more. It's Super Mario 2, only from Nintendo. Now you're playing with...
Number 11, Super Mario Bros. 2, released in 1988 for the NES. Super Mario Bros. 2 is a platform video game developed and published by Nintendo. After the smash hit Super Mario Bros. In 1985, Nintendo quickly released a minor adaptation of the original, with advanced difficulty titled Super Mario Bros. 2, for its mature market in Japan in 1986. However, Nintendo of America found the sequel too similar to its predecessor, and they also found that the difficulty was too frustrating for the American market. This prompted a second Super Mario Bros. Sequel to be released based on the 1987 Japanese Nintendo game called Doki Doki Panic. The characters, enemies, and themes in Doki Doki Panic were adapted into Super Mario Bros. 2, and the 4 playable characters were changed to Mario, Luigi, Princess Toadstool, and Toad. Super Mario Bros. 2 is a 2D side-scrolling platform game. The objective is to navigate the player's character through the dream world Subcon and defeat the main antagonist Wart. Before each stage, the player chooses one of the 4 protagonists I previously mentioned. All 4 characters can run, jump, and climb ladders or vines, but each character possesses a unique strength that causes them to be controlled differently. For example, Luigi can jump the highest, Princess Toadstool can float, Toad's strength allows him to pick up items quickly, and Mario represents the best balance between jumping and strength. This title features a bonus chance minigame played between the levels, which essentially functions like a slot machine. This was a game I beat many times as a child, but I hadn't played it in decades. Playing through it in the last year, I found that it was much more difficult than I remembered, but also much more fun. There were some memorable stages, with interesting secrets and even multiple passage times. I enjoyed the bosses, though some of them you face more than once with some minor differences. Not only is Super Mario Bros. 2 still enjoyable to play in 2022, but it's actually a great game and one of the best games that I've played in the last couple years.
I think that's it. Yeah! Beat Super Mario Bros. 2.
Guys, thanks for sticking with us. We started at number 94, and we got ourselves all the way down to number 11. That's a ton of games. Next time, we're going to pick up with the top 10 best games that I've played in the last 2 years. Tune in for the final part on Endara Gaming, where we beat the games.